Well, tonight on It's Time to Talk, we chat with Port Macquarie Dr. David Gillespie, who has been chosen as the National Party contender at the next federal election. David has a mammoth challenge ahead of him. In fact, some might suggest it's insurmountable. He'll be facing off against the politically lovable Robert Oakeshott, the current independent member for the seat of Lyne, who secured a truly remarkable 63% of the primary vote at the last election. David, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much for having me on.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you on, David. Now listen, I want to clear something out from the start. Are you or are you not the same David Gillespie who once played rugby league for Australia?
I would like to say I have a rugby league representative career, but the last time I played was for the Six Stone Sevens a long time ago, and that's as far as I went.
So you're definitely not cement. I think
No,
he was
I'm
known
not
as
cement.
cement. No. Fair enough. I'm glad we got that cleared up, because quite a few people have asked me, do you ever get it yourself?
Yeah, I get it all the time.
Yeah.
And are they...
Footballers go into politics sometimes, so it's conceivable.
They do. I had delusions that I was going to become a 5'8" or an inside-outside centre, something glamorous,
Yep.
but really my place was in the front row.
Putting your hand up for the federal seat of Lyne, look, it's an admirable thing that you're doing, I've got no doubt about that, but am I out of place in suggesting that you've got a political death wish? I mean, Robert Oakeshott, he's a juggernaut, isn't he?
I wouldn't go that far. He came in the last election with a lot of issues that don't exist anymore, and there was a huge protest vote around a couple of issues that he was the beneficiary of. And I don't think that protest vote is a long-term phenomenon in this electorate. So if you remove those issues, I think it's a 50-50 call. That's why I'm standing. I think I can do a better job.
How do you rate Rob's term as our federal member?
Well, he's only been there a very short time, but you can judge by what he did when he was our member in State Parliament. And in the particular game that I've been involved in most of the time, which is working at the local hospital, in all the time he was there, he didn't achieve what everyone has been crying out for the last decade, and that's expansion of the hospital. It's still not on the state plan. You know, being popular doesn't get you any results. I mean, makes you feel good, but what most people who are voting want is they want a representative that can form a government, be part of a team, that can set the agenda, make the big decisions, like getting the base hospital in Port Macquarie on to the state plan. And that was the most glaring failure of Rob's tenure as a state member.
And I suppose you are qualified to make a call like that, because you're a man who works amongst the public every day and you speak to a lot of people. Do you think that the shine is coming off his halo a little bit?
Yes. Definitely yes.
You would say that, wouldn't you, David?
I'm not going to say no. No, but love affairs always come to an end. But a lot of funding announcements have come through in the last 2 or 3 years that were years in the making, and he's been very happy to take the credit for them. But if you analyse a lot of the big capital works in this part of the world that he's taken credit for, they were the work of people that went before him or in other spheres, like the upgrade of the Pacific Highway. That was a federal initiative by the previous member, Mark Vaile. But, you know, Kevin Rudd and Rob turned up to get the photo opportunity and claim the benefit for it.
Right place, right time, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay, well, look, enough about Rob. Let's learn a little bit about you. You defeated former councillor Jamie Harrison,
yes,
and Taree-based solicitor Quentin Schneider for the pre-selection. Tell us a little bit about David Gillespie.
Well, I've lived in Port Macquarie since 1993. I grew up in Queanbeyan. I was one of 7 children. My father was a general practitioner in Queanbeyan, and quite a few of us are in the medical game. I have a sister who's a nurse, a mother who was a nurse, a brother who's an orthopaedic surgeon, and I'm a gastroenterologist. I'm married with 3 children, 3 beautiful children, and I'm extremely lucky. I've got my beautiful Charlotte, who looks after me, gives me all the loving and attention that I need. And no, we're very happy up here living out at Sandcrocs. We live on a little farm there.
Would you describe yourself as a local?
Well, look, I think you have to be here at least 20 years before you get
it's
the local status.
It's a very strict definition, isn't it? Yep.
Yeah. So my main job is being a gastroenterologist at the base hospital.
I'll tell you what, David, a gastroenterologist come politician, you're a comedian's dream.
Yeah, I know. Other people have said, I work in places where the sun don't shine. And we better stop that. We'll move on to more serious things. No, but look, I've also run a small business with my wife, Charlotte. We built from scratch the Hastings Day Surgery that didn't exist before we came. So I've been an employer, a doctor. We run a little farm, so I have an appreciation of the rigours and the responsibilities of looking after animals and trying to...
Sounds like you're a man with fingers in lots of pies.
Yeah, well, look, life's too short to just stick in one box. You've got to...
And it's what you need in politics too, isn't it, though? You need a broad experience,
Well, I hope I can bring that to federal parliament and Lyne voters be the beneficiary of someone who's had experience in the real world. A lot of politicians, it's been their career. They've been, spin merchants or minders for other politicians or people working in the, in the machines of unions or political organisations. And I'm only new to politics. I only joined the Nationals about 2 years ago. And we can actually do something because we're a party.
Well, look, on that, one of the problems that you're going to battle throughout this campaign, I imagine, will be the perception that as a member of a party, you'll need to toe a party line. I mean, some people might suggest that you won't be able to voice your true opinions on issues that concern our local area without flicking through the National Party book of policies, so to speak. Is that actually a concern that you have going into the campaign? Not
really, because when you're in a party, you get your opportunity to form policies, and you get your opportunity to persuade and make your mark within the party. So there's any number of opportunities to discuss and put your position forward.
Would it be hard for you to speak candidly on a program such as this one about major issues which affect the local community, but which may be issues that people are concerned about in our local community?
Oh, I have to take it question by question.
Well, can I put some of those issues to you? I mean, for example, one of the issues that pops up on this program time and time again through guests and people who call in, the general listenership, is about fluoridation of the water supply, which was meant to come at the end of 2009. It didn't happen. Apparently it's still coming. Where do you stand on the issue of fluoridation?
Well, it's a decision that rests with the local government. Personally, myself, I've got no problem with having fluoride on my toothpaste. It's meant to confer a benefit when it's applied topically. There are varying opinions as to whether putting it in the water delivers the benefits that historically were recorded early on in the piece, but there's a lot of contrary opinion. At the moment, I think having fluoride on young teeth topically would be the...
But isn't that just the point, that putting it into the water supply, that's not topically, isn't it? That's actually ingesting the fluoride.
Yeah, well, ingesting it, that's what I was alluding to. From what I've read, there's some discussion amongst the dental world as to whether ingesting it is the best way to do it, and I'd defer to expert panels on that one. So it won't be something. I mean, I can have my own personal opinion. It's not something that the Nationals have a policy on. Mm-hmm. So yeah, if you want my opinion, I think it's probably a lot cheaper just to have fluoride in your toothpaste, don't you think?
Well, it's an expensive exercise, that's for certain. I think what a lot of people that talk to us are concerned about, if you strip away the for and the against, and there's some compelling evidence about the problems of putting fluoride into the water supply, the broader issue here is the lack of consultation with the community. There wasn't a public referendum on it, and the community, by and large, through this show, I can tell you, doesn't feel consulted on a number of issues, but fluoride seems to be right up there.
Yeah. Well, look, if we had a local council, you would have the opportunity of doing that. But for a history that everyone knows, we don't have a council, we just have an administrator.
The McDonald's proposal at Green Meadows, adjacent to 3 schools, it's caused a lot of angst amongst parents, particularly of the parents of those schools in particular, but the broader community too.
Yeah.
Do you think McDonald's has a right to set up there?
Look, I personally think the precinct it's in seems a tad inappropriate.